Good morning. Welcome back, everybody, to Illuminate TV. I'm your host, Rubina Cohen, and today's show is brought to you by Firefly Strategies Global, which is my marketing agency. We are dedicated and passionate about highlighting and illuminating luminaries on this planet. And I am really excited to bring on my guests today from Tomorrow's Women. I have been following this organization from pretty much the time that I landed in Santa Fe back in 2005 and have been just overly impressed with the work that they've been doing and really seeing the tremendous value of the work that they're doing as well. Empowering our young women on this planet is probably the greatest effort that we can be putting in, because these are our future leaders, and Tomorrow's Women knows this better than anyone else, I think. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Terry Burnett, who is the executive director of Tomorrow's Women, and two incredible women who have gone through the program of being leaders that go back to Israel and Palestine to facilitate this greater vision of peace in that part of the world. So let me bring on my guests right now. Good morning, Terry.
Hi, Rubina. Thanks so much for having us.
And good morning, Adan.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. And good morning, Noga.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, for you guys, it's actually evening. It's 6 p.m.
That's true.
In that part of the world. I know. So it's morning for us. I have my cup of coffee, and I'm just thrilled that you all made time to join me today. Illuminate TV is a passion of mine. I just started it because I feel like there's so much room for stories like the ones that Adan and Noga are going to be sharing with us today about the work they're doing, the work that they've gone through with Tomorrow's Women. And at some point, we want to land with the vision that we have for where we want things, what we want things to look like in that part of the world and the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. Right? Let's think globally as well. So I want to, who wants to go first, Adan or Noga? Which one of you want to share your story this morning with our audience?
Noga, would you like to go first, or I don't mind?
Yeah, maybe you could start.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for having us today. It's a really great opportunity, and I'm so grateful for it, because not everyone gets the chance to really to deliver their voices and to say their stories, especially in these days. So it's very important. Thank you so much. My name is Adan. Thank you. I'm 22 years old, and I'm Arab, Muslim, Palestinian woman. All the challenges, identities that a young woman can have in this world. I'm from Arab 48, which are the people whose land was annexed in 1948, and they lost their Palestinian identities and the majority of their lands. And so for so many years, I was afraid, so afraid to connect with these identities, to become one with the story of suffering, the story of struggling and losing your land, your home, and your identity as a human who have rights and dignity. So for so many years, I was afraid to say that I am Palestinian. I grew up studying Hebrew in school since I was in the second grade. And because that was part of the way you can adjust with the reality that we live in, the reality that is here. But soon enough, every Friday when I go to my mother home, my grandmother home, and she would tell me about the stories of the past, and I would witness the past and your stories. My grandmother have passed away 1 year ago,
Mm.
and she has passed away in the age of more than 95 years. She was in the time of the British rule in the country and in the Nakba in 1948. So she would sit and tell us about the stories of her and her father going to the lands, and she was a farmer. They were farmers, and she would tell us how she would work so hard with her parents to make food and with the neighbors, and how they would share the food together with love and their simple life that they used to live, even though it was so hard. And so when she actually passed away 1 year ago, I was very devastated in that time because when I was seeing her and witnessing that she's dying slowly, I was also remembering this memory that were coming alive, the stories that were coming alive, and it was very insightful for me. And this is why I'm telling this story today. Like I keep searching for my grandmother everywhere around me. I realize how important she was for me, for creating my identity and reminding me who I am when the whole reality around me kept trying to repress my real identity. So I'm saying this speech today for my grandmother. I'm just saying my story today, sharing myself with the world, and say with dignity that I'm Palestinian and I'm human, and I'm remembering what my grandmother have taught me. Her name is Neme, which means blessing in English, and she taught me to bless everybody by just being myself, by being a human, and that's it. I just want to spread this message today, and I guess it's very important to remember that despite being anything in this world, whoever you are, in any language you speak, just remember to bless everyone else's by being your true self, with being true to who you are, and by keep fighting, even though sometimes it's hard. And you said like we go back to our home to make peace, to build peace. And I just keep wondering these days, how can I be a peacemaker when my whole reality was violated lately, but yet I'm still here. Thank you.
Wow, just beautiful. And I have chills up and down my entire body. And I could feel the strength of your ancestors, your grandmother, I feel like is coming through powerfully in your voice. So thank you for sharing that. And I truly believe that deep in my heart that we are all here on this planet individually, that we are a blessing, and that by hiding ourselves, we're in a way, it's selfish, right? Not and I hear your story of how you were taught and told to sort of hide who you were, but then the voices of your wisdom, the people around you that keep the wisdom, and your ancestors coming through strongly saying, no, the blessing is who you are, and that you need to share that. And I am really honored to be able to provide you with a platform to share that story. Thank you for sharing that. So Noga, are you back with us? Can you join with your audio?
She's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I'm having problems with the internet connection, but I think that now I can hear you. I hope you can hear me, and that
I can hear you very clearly, actually.
Okay, great. So I'm really sorry that I couldn't hear all of Adan speak, but I'm also really honored to be here and to share my story with Adan, which is a close friend of mine. So my name is Noga. I live in Jerusalem and grew up in the northern part of Israel, in a village near Haifa, which is called Tivon. And in the 2 last years, I live here in Jerusalem, and I study Arabic music.
So we just lost Noga. She was saying
frustrating.
she was having issues with her internet. So it looks like she is, oh, here she is again. Let me add her back to the stream. Noga, it looks like you are back.
Yeah, I'm here. Just keep disconnecting, and I don't know what is happening. So I hope it
Well, you just
would
keep
work
going as much as you can.
Yeah.
We heard where you left off was your village, where you were from.
Yeah, so I'm from Tivol, and now I live in Jerusalem. I study Arabic music in the Eastern Music Department in the Music and Dance Academy in Jerusalem. I play the nai, which is an Arabic flute, and also I've played the flute since I'm really young. And I was in Tomorrow's Women summer camp when I was 16 in 2016.
I can still hear you. Are you with us? Oh.
Oh.
Oh, there she is again. She's just working hard to stay with us here. I'm sorry you're having issues. Oh, look, we can actually see you. You want to take your video off? There we go.
Trying.
I could see you. The public couldn't see you. Oh, okay. Your video's back. There we go.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know when it stopped. Like,
well, you said
until
you played
when
the flute because you're young, and
no, I played the flute since I was young.
Young,
since,
okay.
I was 9 years old.
I see.
And in the last 2 years, I played the nai.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So what I wanted to share about is a little bit about my story, about my music, and about how it reflects my identity in Israel. So as I said, I learned Arabic music and Eastern musics, also Turkish and Persian, and I feel like in Israel there are so many communities and people from all over the world. Like there are also in the Jewish people. There are people from that are originally from Arab countries, from Morocco, from many parts of the world, and also, of course, the complex of the society with the Palestinian Arabs in Israel, and everything. All the cultures are really mixed and complex. And my father family is originally from Turkey, and my mother's family is originally from Europe, from Holland. So I'm half Ashkenazi and half Mizrahi.
Oh, she's having a hard time.
I know. There she is.
It's really hard for me to speak like that. Yeah, I don't know what is happening.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
I don't want to cut you off in your story, but I just continue if you can. If you're feeling frustrated, obviously, I totally understand. But you were saying of your background, your half of your family is your father is from Turkey and your mother is from Holland. So you're sharing about your ethnic backgrounds.
Yeah. So I started speaking about that because it's really, I think it's really a part of me knowing my ethnic identity. also living in the northern part of Israel, which Arab villages and Jewish cities are really mixed and really close neighbors. So all of my childhood I've heard all the time, you know, the mixture of East and West.
I hear where she's going with this, and it makes so much sense to me. And I think getting that picture painted for us, that it's not the sort of black and white place, right? Because when we see it from a media standpoint, I think we see like Israelis and Palestinians, and that's it. And she's really painting this picture of the diversity that exists in that region. Noga, you're back.
Yeah, I'm here.
So I was just sort of, speaking a little bit about this, but continue if you can.
Okay, I'll try. So I think all of my childhood I've heard, you know, this mixture of Eastern and Western culture, and everything is so complex. And in the last years, like all of the years, I've learned classical European music. I play the flute, and the orchestras, and then
Maybe what we can do is let her try to sort her internet a little bit, and I can share a little bit about the
ensembles,
organization.
and feel more connected.
Yes, so I'm going to bring Terry on. And Terry, if you could just move yourself just a little bit. Yes. Because when I switch back and forth, you get cut off.
Oh, okay.
We see like this much of you. But yeah, so I think what Noga was sharing is the complexity of cultures and the mixture and the diversity. And it's so important, I think, for the audience to hear, because what we're fed through the media is just so, I feel like this much of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole, you know, even what Adan was sharing of, you know, what she has gone through, and but then everybody's sitting around and sharing food with love and this beautiful, simple life. We just don't see that or hear that. So it's so important, not only for us to hear it, but I bet when they're sharing it with each other in these camps. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about Noga and her story, if you, whatever you can share with us.
Yeah, I think one of the things that doesn't get communicated often in the media is how separate the lives are in Israel, and that's within Israel. Of course, the West Bank, there's borders and checkpoints and things for the Palestinians living in the West Bank, but even within Israel, there are a lot of the Israelis and Palestinians are living totally separate lives. They go to separate schools. They live in different villages, as you heard Noga allude to. But in certain places, there's more mixed cities, is what they're called. And during the recent escalation, we saw a lot of violence in those cities, which is unfortunate because the news often shows the worst of the worst, because there was a lot of wonderful protesting, peace marches, and people working together also in those shared cities. So she was really getting at it's part of her identity, which has led her to want to pursue this as a musical career, to be an Israeli Jewish young woman playing this sort of Arab Eastern music and working and learning with Palestinians and Jews alike.
That's beautiful. Let's see, Noga, you are back, and Terry was able to kind of help us understand where you were guiding us with the sharing of the complexities of the communities and the cultures, and you playing this Arabic music.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really having a bad time, like having this all the time stopping. It's really hard for me.
Yeah, I
So
understand. I understand. We'll
I
just
don't
be
know
here.
how really to continue.
Okay, no worries. If you need to jump off, I totally understand. I think at some point I'd love to reconnect with you and have an opportunity to really hear your story in a way that really lands and I can be present with you. So maybe we can just hop on a phone call and I can and get to know you a little bit.
Thank you, Romina.
You're
I'm really
welcome.
sorry about that. I
Oh
I
no.
can't fix it. Yeah.
No worries at all. You tried and that's what matters, and you have no control over the internet. So we don't expect you to be able to have that type of power. Okay, well thank you very much again for being here, and we will reconnect.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Noah.
Thank you. And then Adhan, cool. I'm going to bring you back on for a moment. Yeah. So hearing Noga's story, tell me a little bit about, she said you guys are good friends, and I want to hear the story of that friendship a little bit.
Yeah, so we were in the same camp in 2016, and we met there, and we were there for a month in Santa Fe. And in that camp, we did a lot of work, dialogues, talking about the narrative, the Palestinian narrative, the Israeli narrative, hearing each other's stories, and learning how to communicate. And we also did art, trying to make and express ourselves through art. We did so many activities together that brought us closer, and that's how it all started in the camp.
That's so beautiful. I love that this is a place of not just empowering these women to use their voice to create change, but there's these beautiful connections and hopefully long-lasting connections that are being formed across, these cultures and these backgrounds. Terry, speak a little bit about the camp. So I think I'd love for you to just share what the camp is, what happens there, what is the whole sort of goal and outcome of these camps.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll just back up really briefly in case there's some listeners on here that are familiar with the organization in its inception. In the beginning, it was called Creativity for Peace. And so that our organization, the program, the initial camp was, just started on just three women who had a vision and wanted to bring Israeli and Palestinian women together in Santa Fe on a beautiful piece of property. That was in 2003. And then we changed the name last year, and it was really in response to the challenges within the region. So the word peace, as everyone can imagine, is really politicized. And so it kept some of our young women from joining on both sides, both Israelis and Palestinians, but in particular the West Bank Palestinians. And we chose this name because it really is illuminating, right? It's vision making. It's choosing to step into the future, and the future leaders that we're helping to connect and meet and grow together and learn some important skills. So that's the quick background. And it started with camp. So a lot of folks are familiar with camp, but it's really just the beginning. And it's the beginning of something that we call the Young Leader Program. But at camp, not this year because of COVID. So traditionally it's in Santa Fe. It's 3 weeks long. these 16 young women, half of them are Israeli Jewish, half of them are Palestinians, and half of the Palestinians generally live in Israel and half live in the West Bank or East Jerusalem. So we're really working with 3 different groups of young women, and they all have very unique experiences, and they're meeting for the first time. And they go through about 40 hours of dialogue. That's facilitated dialogue. So this isn't your regular fun summer camp, although it is all of that. It's really they're doing intense emotional transformational work, more than most adults do in their lifetime. They do this at the age of 16. And then to really support that dialogue work, they go through therapeutic and creative art. And it lines up with some of the themes of dialogue, but some of it's also just art making for the sake of art. And then we do lots of wonderful trust building exercises. We go to the mountain center, we do the ropes courses, we go to the opera, we get to do swimming parties, go shopping, all the things that build the social bonds. And the young women, sleep in the same area, they eat in the same area. So there's a lot of bonding that also goes just during the social time. But this year, really quickly, it's in the region. So it's in the West Bank. It's near Bethlehem, and it's going to be 2 weeks long. Just because we're not able to go out of the facility as much as we are when we're here in Santa Fe, and that starts in just 3 days. We're really excited.
And is it all virtual, Terry, this time for the people who are facilitating, or are you all going to be there in the West Bank?
Yeah, so about half the staff live and work in the region, so that they're all there. Usually they come to Santa Fe, and usually the girls come to Santa Fe. So everyone is there in the region. They're going to meet in person at a beautiful retreat center. And Noga and Adan are what we call senior young leaders. So they're coming back to support the process.
I love that. I love the continuity of, just keeping these women involved in the organization, and also the organization really hearing about and getting the benefit of them taking what they learned, having been going back to their lives, incorporating all of that, and then coming back and sharing. I mean, what such richness there, I'm sure. And so tell us a little bit about the bonding happens at camp. And then you said that's just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens after? What is the sort of the mission that if they choose to accept it?
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. Well, I'll share kind of some of the mechanics, but then, Noga and Adan went through this, so I would love to hear from them and their experience with it. But essentially, after camp, they go back. We do post-camp because there's a lot of data that shows that you can have this amazing transformational experience, and then you go back into real life, right? And we call it reentry. And it's almost more challenging than if you had never had the transformational experience, because you're different, but your community, maybe your family, your friends are not different. So we spend a year with them, and even Adan and Noga probably spent a couple of years. So our program has shifted a little bit, but they meet for weekend-long seminars, about 5 to 7 of those across a year and a half. That's meant, so it's a touchstone. They come back, they do dialogue. It's a place that they can really share because everyone's had the same experience. They have the support of the facilitators, and so it continues their process. And we also focus on more theoretical and academic perspectives, like dual narratives, what it means to be a woman, and what it means to be an activist in this work.
Wow. Okay, so I'm bringing Noga and Adan back. Obviously, we know Noga has been having issues connecting. So, Noga, if you're there and you were able to hear a little bit about what Terry said, I do want to ask you about how was that reentry point for you going back after you had gone through the camp? What was your experience like? Was it tough? Looks like Noga just fell off again. So Adan, I'm gonna hit that question over to you.
All right. So it was absolutely tough for me to go back home and adjust again and, and reconnect again with the program, because it's like really you go through a lot of transformational moments in different places. Like you realize that it took you to go outside the country to America to talk about the reality you live in, to meet someone who's only a few minutes maybe away from you, and maybe more. And the only thing that separates from me and other Palestinian girls was a wall. I did not only know about some of the Israeli girls' story, but I also didn't know about my own people's stories. Like I didn't know about the people who in the West Bank, what they go through, the checkpoints. Also, the same thing with people in Jerusalem, and also the difficulties they have. Like each region have its own difficulties and things they have to face, and I was not aware to that story. And hearing that and being part of it, and realizing that there's much more to learn and to become aware with, and then to go back to your little small circle in the home, it's so challenging, and it takes so much strength and courage to deliver these stories to others and to try to explain what it takes and what it means to be in such place, to explain to your family and people around you what you did and how it have impacted you, and your thoughts about the reality that we live in. And also like the feeling of being afraid. Like when you are abroad, you have hope, and when you come back home, you are afraid to lose this hope. And you say again, you wonder again. I was wondering, like, so what's now? Like, you know. So yeah, that's part of the challenges I lived back then.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, you're sort of cracked open at that point.
Yeah.
And then, there's we talk about transformation as you're like, oh, you're emerging as this beautiful butterfly, and it's this like amazing experience. And really it's a grief. There's a loss that these women are experiencing, young girls actually, when they're going through that program. And so really I love this idea of just being with them and offering these touch points. And tell me a little bit about Adan. Do you, and it looks like Noga's back too. Yay, Noga, you're back. You're trying so hard. I love that you're just persistent. That's so much about you without you saying anything. It's
I'm
like she just
trying my
keeps coming
best.
back. She's like, I'm just going to keep coming back. Great. I love it. Do you have this moment of like, you come back, these people, you love these people, they're your family, they're your friends that you've known for so long, but do you kind of feel a little bit like, I'm seeing them from a totally different lens. I don't really know who they are. Like, I get what they're saying, but now I have this new understanding. Tell me a little bit about that. Do you feel any of that, or are you feeling more compassionate in that moment for where they stand and their viewpoints?
Do we want to pitch that to Noga? Noga, do you
yeah.
understand the question?
I think I didn't hear the first part of this question, so I don't. If you can say it again.
I just wanted to hear your kind of, when you go back, the re-entry point, and you have this new lens, like view of how you see the issues of the region. And you have family and friends that you love, that but now you have this whole new perspective. Do you feel like they're different people at that point and you have to talk to them differently? Or tell me about your experience of just like coming back to your family and hearing them talk about, what's going on.
I think it is very confusing.
Oh.
I know, but she keeps trying, which is like amazing.
Maybe I'll share a quick story. This is a story that really impacted me, and it was told by a Palestinian young woman who lives in the West Bank, and she said that she went to camp a long time ago in 2008, and then we bring the young women back so they can meet across different camps as well. So she met a young woman that she had met, that was a different year, but they knew each other. So she's coming into the checkpoint, and so for those living in the West Bank, you have to have a permit to enter into Israel. So getting a permit's incredibly difficult, but apparently she had a permit. She was entering in from the West Bank into Israel, and she arrives at the checkpoint. You have to queue up, long lines. This can take hours. Either you drive through or enter on foot. She was entering on foot, and she sees a fellow alumna in a military uniform at the checkpoint, and they lock eyes and they recognize each other. But they can't acknowledge each other because of the situation. Because if the Israeli acknowledges that they know a Palestinian, they're going to, there'll be social consequences.
Wow.
And if she as a Palestinian acknowledges that she knows an Israeli military, a woman in uniform, then they're going to question how and why does she know that person. So they both had to ignore each other. And it was incredibly complicated for this young woman because they were equal at camp, right? Everything was good. They had this amazing experience, separate years, but still. But this one woman was in power and this other woman was not. And it just shifted the entire dynamic. And so to me, that really reflects the challenges that all of these young women face when they go back home.
Absolutely. Wow. What a story. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
And as I knew would happen, Noga's back with us.
Now I trying to be in my phone. Maybe it's going to work better. Now it seems better. Yeah. So yeah, I really would like to answer your question because it is very confusing coming back to the reality of being in Israel, because are equal, both the Jewish and the Palestinian, and we all the time we do dialogues that are like we're talking about the conflict and figuring out about each one's story and narrative and being compassionate and to one another. And many times I heard stories of the Palestinian side that made me feel sorry for my people, for as a Jewish that are I forgot the word, causing really bad things to the Palestinians. So I can't remember the exact word, but I think you can understand.
Yes.
So coming back to this reality of being the people that cause so many pain and trouble in Israel to my friends, but with that. Me as Noga and my family and all my friends didn't do anything wrong as themselves. So I think it's really confusing. Also, the fact of going to the army. I chose after many. I thought about it so many times, and I was really figuring out what I want to do. And finally, I chose to do the national service in Israel instead of going to the army. And that also is very it's not an easy decision to do. Many people don't really understand why did I choose that way, and it's like really not doing what everyone is doing. not going to the army.
Yeah, I can imagine it feels like you're being disloyal in some way, because of your background, heritage, culture, but you also feel, the fact that you do have a choice though, but it feels like it's not like it's a choice, but there's a lot of pressure around that choice. So
I don't know if we can call it a choice, because
yes,
yeah, like it is. Everyone needs to go to the army, but in a case that you really tell them that you can't do that for religious reasons, or maybe mental.
Like moral reasons.
Yeah, more reasons, but it's really hard to go out from the army.
I can only imagine. And that's why I was saying, like you giving this choice, but then everybody's kind of like watching you and saying like, why are you making this decision? And it's almost harder to say I'm not going to do it than it is to say I am going to do it. But it also again speaks to, just you having shown up. It's harder to keep jumping back onto this live, but you're doing it, Noga. So I so appreciate you and the stories you women have shared. And so you come back in 3 days, and you're going to be around these new young women who are going through this camp and having been through it now. Adan, I want to start with you on, what is going to be some, I mean, I know it's about them sharing their voices, but if you had some advice for these young women who are showing up for the first time, what is some advice that you would want to give them?
Advice for the camp.
For the young women, the new camp attendees.
Yeah. Well, first of all, to be themselves, not to be afraid to share their true opinions and stories, even though it's hard and can feel very overwhelming at some times. I would just encourage them to open their minds, open their hearts, because at the end of the day, again, I say it, we all share the same morals as humans. Doesn't matter who we are. And at the same time, to be proud of who they are and hold on to their own identities and to what they believe in, but also with the mindness of learning, of becoming more aware, of sharing themselves, and think, if they can't be for themselves, who will be for them? But if they can't be for others, then who they are?
Love that. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
incredibly powerful. Yes, I can't wait for the women to meet you and for you to meet them. I'm sure it's a very beautiful moment when these girls show up and get to be in the same space and do the bonding work. Noga, you're there. I'm going to add you. Any words of advice for the women you're going to be meeting, the young girls you're going to be meeting at this camp?
I really hope that they would come with an open heart and really listen to one another. And also, I keep on remembering of a sentence that the facilitators in our camp kept telling us, is trust the process, and really be there and let the process of the camp affect themselves. So I really hope that we all are going to trust the process and just be there and getting to know everyone and letting the process of camp affect us ourselves. So these are my words.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes, trusting the process has been going on for a while. And how do you, Terry, tell us about how you or how the organization finds the women, the cohort of women that show up and young girls that show up at the camp. What is the process of finding these young leaders?
Sure. So in 2020, when we did our sort of last application process, because we didn't get to have camp last year because of COVID,
Yes.
we had 78 young women apply for 16 spots. So, not everyone makes it to the interview process and all of that. We do individual and group interviews, but it just shows the desire and the demand for this kind of opportunity.
That's really eye-opening. I would not have expected that to be the number. So I'm presently, I'm actually really shocked that many women are like that courageous, right? And they're so young. They're like, we want to do this work. I mean,
yeah,
it's just unbelievable.
And the way that as you can witness, Noga and Adan speak wonderful English. So everything is done in English, and it's mostly because it's considered sort of a neutral language. So in Israel, the main language is Hebrew. So that means that the Palestinians who live in Israel also learn Hebrew, but then they'll speak Arabic at home or with their communities. But in the West Bank, they just speak Arabic, so they don't actually learn Hebrew unless they go to a private school or something like that. Okay. But in the regular school system, they don't learn Hebrew or English necessarily. So generally, we have to work with young women who have been exposed to English and they have a high level, because this isn't just conversational English, right? It's an incredibly emotional process, and it's done in English. Of course, there's moments, the facilitators both speak Hebrew and Arabic. There's two facilitators. So if they need to translate a word, no problem. But in general, it's done in English, and all the girls are expected to speak in English during the camp. Outside of they'll have a few uninational meetings. So it'll just be Palestinians speaking, they'll speak Arabic. And so we work with English teachers in schools. And then, of course, word of mouth, right? People share with their friends and their communities. Sometimes we'll post in certain community places, things like that. But we don't have to work that hard.
Yeah, it seems like it. I know. And the teachers too, they're, they seem like partners in finding some of these women, and also shows the desire of the teachers really seeing this as a potential path to, and I don't want to use the word peace. So, because I was exposed to creativity for peace, and that's kind of in the media, I feel like we're always, this sort of larger vision of peace, but what does that actually mean? And, and usually it means one side having to give up a huge something. So I want to talk, I'm going to bring Noga and Adan back in. I want to talk about sort of the vision of what is the desired outcome of all of this work. Is it individual based? Is it sort of a regional vision of what this region could look like without conflict? Maybe just without violence. I want to hear from you. Noga, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I hear and I can hear you.
And I hear some beautiful birds in the background, I think.
Yeah, it's afternoon now. Everything is really nice. So about your question, I think it's a really big and hard question. And I don't really have a vision for what I want to, how I see my country in the future, and what I want to be, and what I want here to be. But I know about myself and about the people around me, that I really want to live my life in peace with the people that are surrounding me, with no need to fear from strangers, and no and just having, being nice to each other in when seeing one another, with no when, with the no איך אומרים גזענות, אדן? I just forgot the word. Maybe Adan can help me.
Yes, say it again.
גזענות?
Oh, she's gone.
She said,
Racism. She was saying racism. She
got
wanted
any
to
racism.
translate that word, yeah.
Mhm. So tell me your vision, Adan.
So I agree with Noga that it's hard to, I mean, for me, after the last events that we all saw over the media, over everywhere, so it's really hard to talk about this event, to feel like you're safe, to share your opinions, like who's gonna attack me, who's gonna look for, like, after me, who's gonna, it's very devastating to see that things that happened so many years ago still happening until today. And I keep asking myself each year, so what can I do? What can I do? And I really don't know. I just keep fighting. I know my rights. I don't want to give them up. And I'm trying so hard not to. I feel responsible to show up for myself and show up for my ancestors, for my grandmother, for people I know from the camp, for, for the people, the girls I meet in another program with the organization, which is called Gaza Women Program. And I hear the story of the girls and I see their struggle, and I just can't sit down and be silent. I really can't. Like, how can I be myself and a human in this world? And it doesn't take for you to be a Palestinian or involved in this conflict or in this struggle to really stand up and do something about it. It takes only a human to show up and to do the best they can, and that's why I'm here. That's why I keep trying to speak, to make people aware, to raise awareness, and to show people our struggle and to show them the stories that others can deliver. Because if I have the chance today to do it and I don't do it, so it's a blessing from God that I am not using.
Yes. I mean, I just am so honored, and to know the story and what you're dealing with. I think it's just so, it's not shown, it's not taught unless you have family directly living in those areas. There isn't a good picture of what these women are going through. And I just want to say, part of what this is about is shining a light on the truth, and of what's really happening, and which is why I feel so privileged to do this work. And I say that I am bringing on luminaries on this planet, and even without seeing your face, Adan, you are shining very brightly.
Thank you.
And continue to be you. And I think that is the best advice that you could give anybody. And having the vision of just for yourself, because it is, I mean, you have this monumental task. If that was what the outcome was supposed to be, there's already a ton of pressure on all of you. I mean, to say that you have to go back and figure out how to change all of this is not necessarily fair. So I totally hear this from both of you, in that we are accountable for ourselves, and we're going to do what we can to leave this planet in peace. And I just love that vision and outcome. And I feel like if each of us individually, aspired to live that way, we could have the greater peace that we're all looking for. Terry, I know you have an event coming up that's right around the corner, and it's a really important one to help the organization not just spread awareness, but to raise the funds to do this important work. And so I want you to talk a little bit about that.
Sure, thanks. So we're doing a virtual event, Salam Shalom, which is peace in both Arabic and Hebrew. And it's an event that's been going on for many years in Santa Fe, but we're doing it virtual this year because we want as many people to participate as possible, and in response to the ongoing pandemic. So it's coming up Saturday, a week from this coming Saturday. So it'll be July 31st. And it's at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 7 p.m. Jerusalem time. And what's really special about this event is that it's going to be a window into the world of camp, into everything that you've heard on this podcast today. The young women attending camp will speak briefly. You'll get to hear from Noga and Adan again. I'll share a little bit more about the work. Adan mentioned Gaza Girls. That's one of our programs. And then we'll do a breakout room where everyone will get to meet a couple of an Israeli and Palestinian camper and spend some time getting to know them in a breakout room. So we're really excited to do this. Noga is going to play some music for us at that event.
Yay! I was going to say I wanted to hear her music.
Yes, yeah, it's beautiful. So it's going to be a really special time, and we would love to have as many people in that Zoom room supporting the work that these young women are doing.
Excellent. And then if people want to register, I know there's a Facebook event. So if you Google or put in the search bar Salam Shalom or Tomorrow's Women, one of those links that come up is for the event. They can go to the event. And I think there's a link where we really want people to RSVP.
Yep. On our website, tomorrowswomen.org. Of course, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and the link to register there. And it's free. It's free to register. And of course, as Rubina mentioned, we're trying to raise funds to support this important work.
Yes, it is so, so important. All right. Well, we are now coming up to the last few minutes of the show. And Terry, any parting words from you about, this important work, your, role in helping to lead this organization and these women? Leave us with some parting words about yourself and the organization.
Yeah. Well, it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to lead this organization for the last couple of years. My background in doing refugee resettlement work, being a women's studies major and the mother of a 17-year-old daughter. This is sort of the confluence of all things that I love in this world, and to get to stand behind and create opportunities for these amazing rising young leaders is a gift. And it really feels like my life's work in a lot of ways. And I think one of the things that strikes me that's unique about our organization is that, of course, we're not political. And we share these stories equally in an unequal situation. And I think we don't compare pain. And it's really bringing people together as people, even though they have vastly different experiences, and they learn to compassionately hear each other. And that is a skill that's going to translate throughout all of their lives. And it's something that we can all aspire to.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Adan, I just want to say thank you to you again as well. Noga, thank you for being here. Just a little quick background on me. For Noga and Adan, Muslim woman, Indian woman that married a Jewish man, and now I have Muslim Jewish children, half Muslim, half Jewish. So, this is really near and dear to my heart in so many ways as well. And so I definitely bid you all so much success in the upcoming camp and just in general to continue doing this important work. So Adan, salam alaikum, and Noga, shalom.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
all.
Rubina.
Have a great, great day. And there we have it. I mean, I'm emotional because of these stories and the courage of these women that is coming through, and just for them sharing their stories, because it's not safe for them to say what they're saying, and for them to show up in this way and share their stories regardless is really an honor and a privilege. And I'm just yeah, I'm a bit emotional, feeling a lot of love, and so honored to have shown light on these women and their voices and stories, and to Terry and the organization for taking the time to be here, because just in 3 days I have this huge camp coming up and this important work coming up. So please, 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 those of you that have joined today, go to tomorrowswomen.org and find a way to participate, help this organization. And then please do join me. I'll be showing up virtually to the Salam Shalom event on Saturday, July 31st, which is at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And Noga is going to be playing her music that she talked about, and Adan will be sharing her story again, and we'll be getting a deeper view into the lives and the work of this organization. So thank you all for being here. This is Illuminate TV. I'll be back next week on Thursday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and I look forward to being here and sharing the story and work of another luminary on this planet. So join me next week and have a great day.